Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Charter Authorizer Support Initiative, or CASI Charter Chat, for October 29th, 2025. Next slide, please. So this is the caveat. The information contained in this presentation is provided as reference only. Charter schools and chartering authorities are encouraged to review the laws and regulations and consult with their own legal counsel regarding the application to their specific situations. Next slide, please. So one of the things you're going to hear as we're going through this is that to ensure accessibility, we are reading everything on the slide. So please forgive us as we're going through having to do this. So our agenda, we're going to start with introductions. We'll go on to current updates, hot topics. We'll break into breakout rooms, and then we will leave some time for Q&A. So next slide, please. So this is the welcome and introductions. I am Michelle Johnson. I'm with the Santa Clara County Office of Education. I am joined by my colleagues at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, as well as my colleagues at Los Angeles County Office of Education, or LACO, and San Diego Unified School District, or SDUSD. We are also here with the support from the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, or CCAP, and we are grateful for all of them being here. Next slide, please. So we want to thank everyone who participated at the CASI October quarterly training, which was titled Managing Charter Closure Responsibly. This was best practices for authorizer staff to review the closure procedures and processes that happen with non-renewal, revocation, and voluntary closure of charter schools. So if you did not get the opportunity to participate, this happened on October 17th, and the recording is on the CASI website along with the resource page and lots of great information. Next slide, please. So we do have some upcoming quarterly trainings, so we want you to save the dates. The first one is on dependent charter school oversight. That'll be happening on January 23rd, 2026 from 9 to 11 a.m. The registration link is in the chat for you at this very moment, but you can also find it on the resource page. And there are links to the slide deck and the resource pages in the chat as well. Our final quarterly training for this year will be the Road to Renewal. That'll happen on April 17th, 2026 from 9 to 11. And that registration link is also on the resource page and now in the chat for anyone who needs it. And we hope to see all of you there. And I know that renewals are on everyone's mind at this moment. Right now we have 2 this year for Santa Clara, and we have 9 next year. So I know the numbers go up significantly for next year. So come and learn. And if you need immediate assistance, go take a look at the CASI website. It does have our previous presentations on the road to renewal. Next slide, please. So I am going to turn the time over to one of our friends from the California Department of Education, Allison Ball, to talk about charter program grant updates.
Thanks so much, Michelle, and thanks for having me today, Cassie. I'm here. My name is Allison Ball. I'm the project director for California's Charter Schools Program Grant, and I have just a couple of updates for you all that we thought were useful to share for awareness only for charter school authorizers. This is primarily a grant program that serves charter schools, but just for your own awareness of some of the opportunities in the field, and in case any of this information is coming your way. So I'll read what we have on the slide, and then also if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. The CDE, on behalf of the State Board of Education, has been awarded a $93.8 million federal charter schools program state entities grant for the 5-year period of 2024 to 2029. The current Public Charter Schools Grant Program, or PCSGP, funding competition for this current fiscal year, 25-26, includes 4 types of subgrants. Those are planning subgrants for charter schools with an approved charter petition that intend to open within 18 months, implementation subgrants for new charter schools that have opened on or before July 1st of 2024, replication subgrants for new charter schools under a governing board that oversees one or more other high-quality charter school, expansion subgrants for existing high-quality charter schools expanding by at least 1 grade level or 25% of total enrollment. Next slide, please. So for your awareness, the funding levels available for this competition: new school subgrants have a base award of $800,000 and a maximum award of up to $1.9 million, including supplemental funding. Expansion subgrants include a base award of $500,000 with a maximum award of $1,050,000, including supplemental funding. Those supplemental funding categories include additional funding for high impact or high cost program areas such as supporting students with disabilities, English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, career technical education or CTE, innovation and sharing best practices, high school, and overall enrollment. So just for your information, we wanted to let you know that funding competition is open now. Applications are due by December 5th. So if you are an authorizer with charter schools in your area, those, whether they're new, replicating, or expanding, they may be coming to you sharing information that they're applying for funding. And there is no information you are required to provide to us as the authorizer. It's just for your awareness. And if you have any questions, the link is in the chat now about this current funding competition and some of the webinars and technical assistance that we have available. So thank you again for having me. And if you've got any questions, we've got contact information at that link as well. Thanks so much. I'll turn it back over to Michelle.
Thanks, Allison. All right, next slide, please. So because we have so many people that attend our charter chats, it makes it so much easier if you will rename yourself to include your name and your organization so that we know who is in the room. We will have 4 authorizer breakout rooms as well as 1 non-authorizer partner room. And so please rename yourself with your name, your organization. The example is Michelle Johnson, Santa Clara COE. And if you will please do that in the next few moments, that makes our jobs a whole lot easier as we're trying to find out who are the new people who are attending. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn the time over to our friend Tom Hutton from CCAP to give us a legislative update.
All right, thanks, Michelle, and good morning, everybody. Some of you who were on our last charter chat know that we ran through many of these bills, although not all of them, just to highlight what was at the time in motion, either already signed or I don't know if they had any vetoed at that point, or still awaiting the governor's decision making. But this is the rundown. We'll just we have very short little blurbs on the slides. I'll give you a little bit more detail just so you know what it's about. But if you want to look for more details in the resources, we have links to all of the legislative pages on each of the bills. And, in addition to the full language of the bill, there's a tab on each of those that gives you to the staff analyses, which break it down into English for you. And you can find to your heart's desire, you can read legislation there. And those are all in your resources. The other thing is we had a webinar at CCAP to discuss them, and we provided that link as an information source. Please understand that the department, has to be cautious about the political discussions, and so the fact that we're providing that as a resource does not imply that the department is endorsing any viewpoints that were in that discussion, but it was a useful rundown, so it's in there as well. So as you all know, the main event had to do with charter school oversight and authorizing. We talked about that to some degree. There's two very big measures relating to that. The Assembly bill did not pass out of the Senate, and it still is, in theory, in the wings as a 2-year bill. As you probably read, the Senate bill did pass. It passed barely with a lot of abstentions, but enough to get it over the line. In the end, we were all waiting on pins and needles, and the governor did decide to veto that. And his veto message basically said, you know, there's a lot of good stuff in here. He commended all the people who worked on it, but he said there's various reasons why he flagged that he thought that they needed to come back with another piece of legislation in January. Um, One important thing for all of us to note is that that would have been the vehicle to extend the moratorium on new petitions for non-classroom based schools while these other safeguards get built into the system. Remember that the oversight concerns were not entirely, but prompted largely by some of the concerns that have happened with some cases of fraud and misuse of funds in the non-classroom based kind of realm. So that means petitions, you know, there's been pent-up demand for these petitions during the time we've had this moratorium, and there are petitioners that have been eagerly waiting the lifting of the moratorium, and they may be coming to an authorizer near you when that moratorium lifts in January. Next slide. There were a couple of other bills that did not get vetoed, but that means the debates will continue. One was one that was near and dear to the heart of some small districts, especially that would have eased up on substitute teacher lengths of service requirements to allow them to have substitutes serving in vacant positions a little longer. That one was vetoed. The other one, average daily attendance, emergencies, and immigration enforcement. That was one of several bills related to immigration enforcement in schools, and this one had to do with holding holding people harmless if their ADA is affected by immigration enforcement. That one, the governor's message said he kind of feels is already in the system to be able to provide for that, but you can look at that if you want to see more details. Next slide. And here's a rundown of a lot of the bills that were enacted. So, and I neglected in the first two. We do have to read every word. So AB 49 on school sites and immigration enforcement. That was the so-called California Safe Haven Schools Act, and that's the one that has to do with warrants or court orders for immigration to appear on campus and not sharing information about families and employees. AB 419, Educational Equity and Immigration Enforcement. That one had to do with posting, you know, what your rights to know your rights about immigration enforcement on the websites. That's something to look at. And I think it also had that might have been the one that had the revision to the school safety plan that needs to include this. And that these bills, by the way, became effective upon approval, which means that the requirements kick in sooner than we would normally expect for like the following school year. I think in March, some of this stuff has to be in place. So look at the details in there. AB 461 has to do with truancy and criminal penalties for parents on truancy. AB 560 had to do with special education and resource specialists and classes and had to do with sort of staffing ratios. So look at that one. AB 640, local educational agencies, governance training, some of the requirements related to board members of districts and county offices and also charter schools, having to do with training on finance. So that's new for our governing boards in our schools and also our own boards. Next slide. So AB 715, this has to do with this was the so-called anti-Semitism, anti-discrimination bill, educational equity, discrimination, anti-Semitism prevention. A lot of controversy around this one. Acknowledgement by those involved that they're going to have to do some cleanup and fine-tuning of it, but they did want to make the statement about discrimination. So that bill is out there. Probably there will be subsequent legislation, but those requirements are in place now and set up mechanisms for calling to attention things that people feel are problematic in instruction. AB 1264, pupil nutrition and restricted school foods, ultra-processed foods of concern. There's a prohibition on these foods which are to be defined through a typical kind of regulatory process, and then those foods are not to be included in school meals. AB 1286, the Political Reform Act of 1974, that's your your Form 700 sorts of disclosures, and in adding some requirements there that have to do with prospective employment, not just your current employment, if you're a public official serving on a board and those sorts of things. Next slide. On the Senate bill side, these ones were enacted. Oh, I'm sorry, this was the one. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. Senate Bill 98 was the one about notification about immigration enforcement activities, and including that in your school safety plan. So look at that one as well in that group of legislation related about the need to keep schools to be safe places for all students. Senate Bill 707, that has to do with the open meetings and the meeting and teleconference requirements that were put in place to help with COVID, and this would change some of those requirements and also extend them out to 2030. So take a look at that one. And then Senate Bill 827, this is another training one, local agency officials, local education agency officials and training. And this one has to do with ethics training requirements and applying them to more school officials than hitherto was the case. I think that is our rundown, but again, links to all that fun stuff is in your resources.
Thanks, Tom. Next slide, please. So as a quick update, for the California Department of Education and State Board of Education updates, the Advisory Commission on Charter Schools, or ACCS meeting, which was supposed to be held on October 7th, was canceled. The next ACCS meeting will be held on December 9th, 2025, and the next state board meeting will be held on November 5th and 6th, 2025. So we'll be watching for those. Next slide, please. So now we're going to move into the hot topics section of our charter chat, or information on topics relevant to the oversight of charter schools under program and under fiscal. Next slide, please. So the first under the program oversight is the Local Control Accountability Plan authorizer posting requirements. Just be aware that you as the authorizer do need to post your charter school's LCAP on your website. Please go and take a look at the resource page for further information on those posting requirements. The LCAP dashboard posting requirements, charter schools do need to upload their LCAP through the MyCDE Connect unified system. And that has a deadline of November 1st. So that is coming up very fast. It doesn't fall on authorizers to do it, but it does fall on the charter schools to upload. The 24-25 California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, or CASP, and the ELAC, or English Language Proficiency Assessments for California assessment results, those have now been posted and are available for your perusal on the CASP website. And last but not least is the California Statewide Assignment Accountability System, or CalSAS, and California Basic Education Data System, or CBEDS. And that window dealing with California credentials, or CalSAS, it opened on August 7th and it ends on November 14th. So you as the authorizer should be seeing whether or not you have to be making changes or approving or going through. And if you've got more questions on that, my buddy Jeff Hartman from LACO is available. And yes, he just put this big smile on his face because he knows he's the one that gets all of those wonderful CalSAS questions. I can simply point you in the right direction, which is Jeff is the guru. So I'm going to turn the time over to my buddy Shalou to talk about fiscal oversight, hot topics.
Thank you, Michelle. Next slide, please. Thank you. We want to start with some reminders, and we did share some of that last month. California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System, CalPADS Fall 1 certification is, as we shared last month, the CalPADS Fall 1 certification window opened on October 1st, 2025. The LEA must certify their Fall 1 data by December 12, 2025, following what the amendment window will open. SELPA approval is strongly encouraged by December 12, 2025, but not required until the amendment window closes on January 23rd, 2026. Charter 20-day report. As a reminder, that 20-day attendance report and signed certification are due to CDE, if you haven't done so, by October 31st, 2025. First interim and audit report information. The first interim report is due to the authorizing district and county office of education by December 15th, covering the reporting period ending October 31st. I recently updated my template. I know most of you have already done so. If not, please have your templates updated if the schools are not on SACS. So they have at least 30 to 45 days to complete that form. 24-25 annual audit. Per Education Code 47605M, charter school must submit their annual independent audit report to CDE, state controller, and county superintendent and chartering authority by December 15th of each year. If the charter school audit is included in the authorizer audit, Education Code section 41020 applies. Although not on this slide, please note that due to delayed release of 25 OMB compliance supplement, LEAs that are subject to single audit requirement, that means those expending 750,000 or more in federal funds in 2025 may need to request an audit extension from their oversight agency. As the K-12 audit guide requires all applicable audit reports to be submitted in one combined report. So the latest information that we heard from LEA audit is if the audit guide is not released, but the OMB supplementary is not released before December 15th, the LEAs that are affected by this may need to file for an extension with their authorizing agencies. We'll share more information as we learn more. Next slide, please.
Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, but we're going to now head into breakout rooms. You'll be moved into your assigned breakout rooms and then you'll be moved back. There is a slide deck for the note takers for each of this, and each room has a new slide deck. Keep introductions short in the interest of time, but if there's any first timers, please make sure that you indicate who you are. We're going to report back our discussion highlights to the full group, and we have breakout rooms and facilitators in rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, and the non-authorizer partner room is 5. And I want to thank my friends at LACO for stepping up to help out and at CDE and CCAP who are helping out as facilitators today. So please give us, be patient with us as facilitators, but let's go into breakout rooms.
Opening now.
All right, it looks like we have almost everybody back. Great. So we're going to debrief room 1's topics. We talked about the MOU format. We talked about renewals. We talked about countywide charters. And we ended up with a really interesting conversation about the 50/50 charter school facility grant. And so lots of really interesting conversation on that one. Room 2.
Indra, you want me to run down my notes?
Yeah, well, I'll see if I remember them all.
Okay.
So I know we talked about a bunch about the moratorium and non-classroom based schools and what potentially that will look like in January. There was a reminder that there is cleanup bills and legislation that could still affect some of that in the next month. Then we talked about material revisions, and preferences, school preferences. What are some best practices for preferences, and what is allowed or not allowed, and the order of preferences, and the fact that there is no appeal for a material revision. And what I missed, Tom?
No, that's it.
All right, room 3.
We talked a lot about CalSAS and some of the dirty tricks that we can be on the lookout for, and just going through and how do we encourage a school to make sure that they are submitting the documents that we need in order to make our determinations. We also talked about the renewals and the kind of renewal wave. We've talked a lot about strategies for dealing with large numbers of renewals all at once, and how to manage time, how to manage workload, making sure that things are updated because of the passage of time, since of the 3-year extension that a lot of schools got in their terms. And just trying to make sure that you're calendaring out things and being efficient. And then we talked a little bit about the non-classroom based, possible having a bunch of schools coming in January. My thought on it that it's possible, but that the non-classroom based charter environment there's more scrutiny on it, and there's a lot of financial problems that are going on in the charter sector. And so we may not get the huge wave, but we'll see.
All right, room 4.
We also talked a lot about the renewals for next year and strategizing how to deal with all of them coming in at the same time and scheduling. I talked about LCAP dashboard updates, and that county offices are receiving those, the list of LEAs that have not uploaded, and being able to follow up with them. We had a pretty robust conversation about different platforms for document and reports, Epicenter, ReportWell, and other processes that we used in order to keep track of all of that information. And then we also, I'm going to make sure I don't butcher this, we also talked about the 2025 extension of the OMB supplemental guide, that there's a possibility that LEAs may need an extension as information may not be available to meet the deadlines.
Right. I think it's room 5 next, right? So we had a few conversations on everything from verified data, dashboard, growth measure data for comparison, the role of CDE or the non-role of CDE in more locally authorized decisions, and talked about some of the roles that are being contemplated in discussions for legislation but are not currently out there yet. And then we talked also a little bit about Kim's going to, hopefully, I've invited her from AMARD, is going to make another appearance. She's always a hit when she does, at CASI in December. So a lot of the questions are around, data right now. So we also talked about the state board meeting, what's on the agenda, what's not on the agenda for next week. And I think that's about it.
All right, thank you. Next slide, please. So, meeting feedback survey. We live and breathe surveys. So please complete our short after meeting survey to share your feedback and suggest hot topics for our upcoming charter chat and quarterly meeting training meeting agendas. And so the survey link is in the chat. as well as on the slide deck. Next slide, please. Upcoming CASI events. Our next monthly charter chat will be on December 10th. You've now heard that at least 3 times today, from 10 to 11, because in honor of the holidays. And the next CASI quarterly training will be on dependent charter schools. That'll be January 23rd from 9 to 11. And the registration link is on the resource page. Next slide, please. We do have Authorizing 101, Fiscal 101, or the topic of your choice. CASI can bring free training via Zoom or even on-site locally to those who need additional support. In fact, we were just at the CASIP, or the California State and Federal Projects Group, on Monday doing doing Charter School 101, and got lots of good feedback on that. So you can pair this with a training for charter schools or combine with everyone. You can tailor it for local topical priorities. If you're interested in having any of these additional trainings, please reach out to CASI at cde.ca.gov. Next slide, please. And not only can we provide additional training, we can do one-on-one technical support where you can reach out to me. You can have mentoring support. You can reach out to Deidre Walsh. On-site trainings, you can reach out to Indra. Please see our resource page for more information. We are here to help you, and all of this is free. And we all love the word free, don't we? So if you have not submitted your survey response, please submit that survey response again. Next slide is contact us if you've got questions. We can be reached at cde.ca.gov, or you can find us on our individual websites. We are here to help you, and we are now going to give you the gift. And thank you, Marcia, for your information that saying that the CASIP was really good. We thought it was good too. And next slide is thank you for your time. We appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you so much.